Hello, and welcome to another episode of the PintSizeAnalyze podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the Mariners' acquisition earlier this afternoon out of complete nowhere of Gregory Santos. He's a right-handed relief pitcher who will be pitching in either the 6th, 7th, 8th, or the 7th, 8th, or the 9th for the Mariners. He will be a late-inning weapon. He has, as you can see, he's equipped with a 60-grade fastball, 70-grade slider, 40 command, but he is excellent. He's going to be in the back of the bullpen with the three-headed, now joins the two-headed, now three-headed monster of Andres Munoz, Matt Brash, and now Gregory Santos. These guys are going to be filthy. They're going to get saves, and they're going to post zeros for the Mariners. They're gonna post shutdown innings. It was in exchange for Prelander Berroa, minor league right-handed pitcher. Prelander Berroa, left-handed hitting right, throws right. 25-year-old outfielder Zach DeLoach. And for the 69th overall pick in the 2024 MLB Draft, that is the Comp Balance B pick. So I will get into more of that as we go along. But actually, I'll start with the return, or what the Mariners gave up first. So Prelander Berroa still says Seattle Mariners, but obviously he is now with the Chicago White Sox. He's only 5'11", 170, so he's a smaller frame. Still only 23 years old. He was acquired from the San Francisco Giants in exchange for Donovan Walton, utility infielder from a few years ago, if you remember. But he was picked up from the Mariners through there. He started 2022 in the Mariners system after being traded. Posted a 2.41. Sorry, just adjusting my mic. He posted a 2.41 ERA in High A Everett with the Mariners. That was over 52 innings before being promoted to Double A Arkansas and then being converted to a reliever. Never mind. He was still a starter at this point last year in Double A. Pitched to a 4.37 ERA, 4.176 FIP, 4.29 xFIP, and he had, as you can see, walks per nine not good. But I also, you guys probably know this, but I do not like walks per nine. I am a percentage K, and walk percentage is much better, as well as K minus walk percentage. So let's see. In High A in Seattle, 14.9% walk rate, 16.8% walk rate last year in Double A, and then 14.1% walk rate this year again in Double A, or again 2023 in Double A. So it's clear that the command, he was called up by the Mariners. He had 1.2 1 2/3 innings pitched in the majors, and in that inning, we'll go to game log right there. Okay, so the first time was 7:21 against Toronto, only 2/3 of an inning, walked 3 people, struck out 1, and then the Mariners immediately sent him back down, and then he was not called up again until the final series of the year. October 1st is when he pitched. I believe that was the second to last game or last game of the year. And he went an inning scoreless then, had 2 strikeouts, but as you can see, he walked the same amount of people as he struck out in the majors, although, I mean, it was still such a small sample size. The Double-A sample size is a lot more indicative of the command and even control issues that he was experiencing, not being able to throw strikes. And then if we go down, where was it? There was something else interesting. In his batted ball data, or not his batted ball data, that doesn't exist for a minor league pitcher. But it was for this. It was. I remember what it was now. So I noticed there was kind of still kind of like a decent discrepancy between like his FIP and his ERA, or his xFIP and his FIP and his ERA in Double A. And so I was curious about that. Which xFIP lowers the home run to fly ball rate to about the league average ratio. His home run to fly ball rate in Arkansas was only 12%, so it's not like it was that big. But yeah, still, I think the Mariners front office and organization kind of came to the conclusion that he was not going to be easily. He was not going to be, a plug and play, or they were not going to immediately be able to call him up, and he was going to be a high leverage reliever. It was going to take more time. The fastball is still electric. He still throws triple digits, but he's a higher leverage reliever that the Mariners would want. And they got that higher leverage reliever already in Gregory Santos, who still has years of control, but we'll get into that later. And then Zach DeLoach is the second piece, second player in the trade. He was drafted in the second round, number 43 overall in the 2020 amateur draft by the Mariners out of Texas A&M. Bryce Miller, I believe he was a college teammate of Bryce Miller for at least 2 seasons. So he has kind of, I don't want to say like hit every level of minors, but he's, hit at some levels in minors, but has been like an older prospect at every single level. And then he was a 24-year-old in AAA this past year. He spent the entire year there. 286 average, 387 on base, 481 slug. That sounds really appealing. That's 868 OPS. Yeah, that like sounds really good, but that's adjusted to only a 111 WRC plus. This is like my example again of how just rough the PCL environment, offensive environment is. But Ryan Bliss, who was acquired for Paul Sewald as one of the players acquired for Paul Sewald, he had a 812 OPS, I believe. Yeah, or 822 OPS in AAA and had a 97 WRC plus. So that just goes to show. I believe like an 830 OPS is like league average. In PCL right now. That's just how rough or how extreme the run scoring environment is in favor of the hitters. As well as DeLoach, you'll see the K issues kind of consistently had him his entire career and is like one of the main detractors in why the Mariners were not interested in him. I hate these ads. But anyway, the K issue is why he's not like on a top 100 prospect list. Again, the counting stats look great. 23 home runs, 90 runs, 88 RBIs. The walk percentage is good. He might be able to legitimately walk, but it seems like his ceiling is a fourth outfielder. That's about it. And he was added to the 40-man, as well as Prelander Berroa was on the 40-man. So this trade actually clears up a roster spot. And then, so the final component that the Mariners traded away was the 69th overall pick, comp balance B in 2024. Now, this was mentioned on Jason Churchill and Joe Doyle's podcast, the Future Stars series. They talked about how for the Corbin Burns trade yesterday, the Orioles traded away Joey Ortiz, DL Hall, and then the number 34th overall pick. And apparently the Brewers were hung up on either Mac Horvath or Horvat, who went number 53 overall to the Orioles last year, or they wanted the number 34 overall pick this year. And it's been kind of widely known that like this year is going to be a weaker draft. But it just kind of puts into perspective, like the Brewers valued the 53rd overall pick last year as like roughly the 34th overall or 33rd overall pick this year, and that's what they're getting from the Orioles. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Mariners valued the 69th overall pick this year as like roughly maybe a 100th overall pick in terms of the caliber of player that they're getting compared to last year. So I think you could argue maybe, I feel like I don't want to like say this, but like, you could say it's like, 30% worse, the draft, but yeah. And then if we go to Gregory Santos, his Savant page, so we'll start here. So all red, basically 89th percentile xERA. That's like one of my xWOBA is like my most important stat for a pitcher. Still only 24 years old as well. 6'2", 190, so a bit of a smaller frame, but still long levers and still able to get above league average extension. Only 190 pounds though. So, but clearly he's able to whip the ball, like whip it around, and he doesn't need a whole lot of strength to. Because the guy throws like 103. But we'll get into that. As we can see, fastball velocity, 98th percentile at 98.8. XBA is 245. That's 47th percentile. That's not great. His X slugging is in the top 8th percentile. I don't know why that's not a slider anymore. But if we go right here, it's just top 8%. And then xWOBA con, so top 11th percentile in xWOBA con, top 7th percentile. That's xWOBA on quality of contact. So it's like slightly slightly differs, like just slightly more advanced, gives you slightly more information, but xwOBA still like generally I feel like paints a good enough picture. And then the barrel percentage as well, 100th percentile, 1.5% of batted balls against him are barrels. That's ridiculous. Like just so good. Max exit velocity of 111. Okay, that's not like great, but like for somebody who threw 1,000 pitches last year, I feel like that's pretty good. And again, max exit velocity against is like one of the most meaningless stats you could think of for a pitcher. But I still just think that's kind of, and you'll even see like it was only 0.6 higher when he threw only 53 pitches. And again, that was only as a 21-year-old. But like, and I don't know if Mariners fans will remember, but Gregory Santos, he pitched against the Mariners twice last year. First time, or I believe it was twice. The first time he was like excellent. Second time, it was the game where Tim Anderson got hit in the head with a throw from J.P. Crawford. Really, really infuriating game. If you watched it live, I did. But yeah, that and Gregory Santos was like in the game for much longer though. Oh, look at that, 100th percentile expected ISO. So that would just be expected batting. Yeah, expected batting. Wow, that's really crazy. Okay, 100th percentile in expected ISO. I mean, yeah, wow. It feels like 91st percentile in chase rate as well. I wanted to point out his there was one thing that I wanted to point out. Okay, called strike plus CSW percentage, 31.5. That's like pretty good. It's I would say that's like 60th percentile. Unfortunately, there's not like a slider for that, like a savant slider for that yet. But that's like my estimation. So it's like it's slightly good. And then, but yeah, like the whiff percentage, 77th percentile, 91st percentile in chase rate. It says no to walks, does not walk people, does not give up a lot of hard hits. Expected on base percentage is 67th percentile. Like this guy, and the thing that's really interesting is his expected slug is like, or his expected ISO is that high, with his expected batting average like being only in the 40th percentile. Like for 47th percentile, I'd expect his expected batting average to have to be at least like 80 for him to reach a 100th percentile X ISO. But in fact, let's see if we can find that leaderboard real quick. I admittedly, ISO is a great stat. Admittedly, I've not done a lot of, X ISO sounds pretty self-explanatory, but I've not done a lot of research about it. So, I believe we'll have to go custom leaderboards. And if you are unaware of how to do this on Savant, you can like make custom leaderboards, or like to get more detailed stats, like right here. But we'll go to just keep scrolling. Wait. X ISO right there, and then also click on X OBP. And this is for hitters. We'll change it to pitchers real quick. Okay, so, well, let's just start with X ISO. That's worse by it. Okay, makes sense. Wait, is he qualified? We'll change it to 150. Wait, let me make sure. Also, something interesting. Prelander, Berroa, and Gregory Santos were in the Giants system at the exact same time. Just a coincidence. But let's see. So, how many total batters did he face? 289. Okay, let's change this to like. Oh wait. We'll change this to like 250 because he faced. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Expected ISO. Let's see. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. If you raise it to 250 plate appearances, yeah, 0.07 X ISO. That is second behind only Tanner Scott amongst all pitchers with at least 250 plate appearances against, or total batters faced, I believe. And yeah, wow. Okay, so, and then let's also just add in XBA Next slugging. So, yeah, wow. Although, I believe it actually might be .69. Maybe he's tied? I don't know why they're giving him one more, like, tenth of a point in XISO, but, because that's .69 more. But, I mean, it's still, like, he's still 100th percentile, so it's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, the batted ball data against for Gregory Santos is like outstanding. He looks like he's going to be a solid, like I said, high leverage reliever for the Mariners next year. He pitched in 66 innings now. Now there is some injury concerns, which obviously we'll talk about more as we get into spring training, and as we see how much he pitches. I think he'll be good to go for opening day. I'll be tweeting more about that. And if there's any more information about that, I'm sure I'll talk about it on my Twitter. If you do not follow me there, PintSizeAnalyze. But that actually is a good segue. Okay. One more thing, I wanted to talk about the run value. His sinker, which he throws 103, performed awfully by run value, like bad. And I think that could be indicative of location. Actually, no. There's two more things I need to talk about this guy real quick. Okay, so I believe that the -8 run value on his sinker could be more indicative of location, rather than it is like the characteristics of the pitch, because he throws it like 101, and it could still even be a good setup pitch even with that -8 run value, but that's something that I would like to see him improve, and I believe the Mariners pitching lab is able to do that. But one more thing, so 2023 White Sox admittedly were not a great team, particularly on the pitching side. Well, actually on both sides they were not a great team, but Gregory Santos has, if we go to minimum 30 innings pitched, I believe, amongst all White Sox pitchers last year. And so let's see who's first. And this is by Stuff Plus, Enoceris' model. Stuff Plus, Gregory Santos was first on the team. Now, it's kind of hilarious because Stuff Plus fastball 90. Now, his sinker being a 97, by Stuff Plus could kind of indicate that it's maybe like more elite, like more a league average pitch rather than like an outstanding pitch. But even then, like the run value that it's posting should be a lot better. But his slider, look at that, and it's like mostly carried by a slider, but it's still a 159 Stuff Plus slider. If you were curious about how filthy that is like insane. I believe not a single Mariner had a. Actually, we'll check after this, but I believe that would be first. So he was first on the team in Stuff Plus, and then he was first on the team in Location Plus, and then he was first on the team in Pitching Plus. So he won like the Enoceris Pitching Plus crown, triple crown of his team, and that's like it feels like he's the complete package of a pitcher essentially, and like even like pitch models agree with that. Now let's go to the Mariners real quick, just because I'm curious how comparable that would be to like some of the elite sliders on the Mariners, like Munoz or. Okay, yeah. Matt Brash was at 138 last year. Paul Sewald was at 137. Andres Munoz 136. Logan Gilbert 133. Topo 129. Kirby 126. So yeah, if there's any question about how filthy his slider is, just look at the Stuff Plus. It was 21% better than Matt Brash's slider, which has been called, again, not by Stuff Plus, but has been called the filthiest slider of all time. And it might still be I would argue Matt Brash's slider is still more filthy, despite the lower Stuff Plus grade. But it just, it's a very, very, like, it's an elite offering, the slider that Gregory Santos throws, and I'm excited to watch him throw it for the Mariners. Now I can actually end the episode. I feel like I've reached all of what I wanted to talk about today. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon, morning, whenever you're watching. And yeah, thank you so much. Peace.